Hi everyone, Happy New Year to you. Haven't done a video in a while, so I thought I'd pop in today. I don't have anything to unbox though, so today's video is gonna be kind of a video op-ed, the subject of which is, what's it gonna take, Hasbro? So like a lot of you, I'm enjoying Skeleton Crew on Disney Plus, and like a lot of Skeleton Crew fans, I'm wandering around after each episode on Threads, which by the way, follow me on Threads. It's a Star Wars party over there. Wandering around wondering where in the heck the Hasbro product support for this show is. And aside from the fact that, yeah, they released the four main kids in the Black Series, and obviously they released Jod in both the Black Series, and now they've released him in TVC. And theoretically, I believe there is one more TVC Skeleton Crew figure coming, which good money betting that that is Brutus. The obvious question is, where the hell are the kids? Like, they're the main characters of the show. The show is charming as heck. I'm trying to keep my language very PG today because it's for children. And Hasbro seems to be doing that thing where sometimes a property comes along and they just say, nope, we're not going to cover that. And obviously for those of us in the fan base for the Vintage Collection, this brings up some uncomfortable feelings about another previous wonderful Star Wars property that Hasbro has all but completely ignored for our line, which is the Bad Batch. So let me show you something. This is my Omega Black Series figure. I don't collect the Black Series, as you know, but once in a while I'll cave because it's just like, well, we got no other chance. But, you know, let me show you Omega standing next to Hunter. She looks freakish. She could eat him. I had a couple kids over the other day and they saw Omega standing next to her supposed older brother, although technically he's younger than her on the show. And they started to scream and cry. And who can blame them? This is terrifying. This is not the way it's supposed to be. Obviously, those of us in the community have been stumping for a while now for a lot more Bad Batch coverage. And I know they did that 4-pack, but you know who was not in the 4-pack that they did? Any of the characters that are the Bad Batch. You know how the show is called the Bad Batch? Where are those characters? Then they did, of course, release Hunter. And, you know, he's fine, season 1 Hunter, but like, he's real lonely, and he's getting lonelier as the days go by. And my fear for Jod, old Jod Nanawood, is he's also going to be extremely lonely. I mean, at least he and Hunter can hang out together on the shelf, commiserating about the fact that none of their co-stars are available in this collection. But that's going to kind of suck for the display. So I think a lot of us in the community, our strong hope is that this year's Haslab will be the Marauder from the Bad Batch, and that it will come with the titular Bad Batch. And just so that there is no lack of clarity in this video, my Bad Batch includes Omega, right? It's not the Bad Batch if the kid is not involved. So she'd have to be in there too. And I was so impressed, almost to the point of like blinding envy, of that Ecto 1 Haslab that they did in the fall. Now, it was so good, I probably, all things being equal, I would have bought it, but I've run out of shelf space and I don't collect Ghostbusters figures, so it would really have been silly, but like, that was a beautiful piece of work. The vehicle was, first of all, fantastic, but then they had the 2 tiers where second tier was, hey, you want the entire crew in the Ghostbusters 2 outfits? Here you go. Like, I just thought that was a superb Haslab, and I could see them doing the Marauder the same way and putting us out of our misery on the Bad Batch by including the boys and the girl. And sure, Gonky. Throw in Gonky. Although if Gonky is an unlock, I call foul, because we've all got Gonks. We can all paint our Gonks orange. That is not a particularly valuable tier. But the point remains, Haslab seems to be the most obvious way to do this. But I want to propose an alternate, and this would apply for Skeleton Crew as well. I wonder if Hasbro is ready to start thinking about doing figure-only Haslabs for, let's call it, niche groups of characters. And kind of the same structure would be in place here. You put up like a Haslab for the Skeleton Crew kids, let's say, so that's 4 figures, they're all newly tooled. So let's say you put up a Skeleton Crew kids Haslab that's like, I don't know, the base price is like $175, which is a lot of money for 4 figures. But you then put tiers on it. So you get SM33 as an add-on on top, and you get Brutus on top of that. And, you know, that way you kind of make it so that the more people get attracted to the line, the more value you get out of that Haslab, because then, 175 bucks for like 6 figures, that's pretty good. And I mean, we haven't seen the last 2 episodes yet. The 7th episode is airing tonight, the 8th airs next week, but there might be other characters in there that we would be excited. I've got a theory on who Captain Tack Rennet is going to turn out to be, and well, we'll see. We'll just see how it all goes. But like that could be a really interesting vehicle, no pun intended, for a vehicle-less Haslab that nonetheless satisfies a lot of collectors. And then you could apply the same logic to the Bad Batch, right? You do a base tier Bad Batch that's, I guess in that case, it would have to be, I know how they would do it. 4 characters, including one we do have, which would be Hunter in his like season 2 outfit with the orange and the blue. And then it'd be Hunter, it would be Tech, it would be Wrecker, and it would be Crosshair. Crosshair? I am so sorry to the people of New Zealand. And then the unlocks would be Omega, and another unlock for Echo. I'm so sorry. And then you could do like a deluxe thing like that with that as well, where like there could be a base tier Haslab and then a deluxe tier Haslab, where in the deluxe tier you get the entire sort of dark suited version of the Bad Batch from Clone Wars, and then the season 2 mercenary version of the Bad Batch as well. Because obviously that's a lot of reused parts. That wouldn't cost Hasbro too much more to make 2 copies with different paint apps and whatnot. That's just some advice for the Haslab guys. But I did have another idea. What if it was time to bring back Build-A-Droid and put Build-A-Fig into TVC? Now I know TVC collectors are going to hate every word of what I'm about to say, because TVC collectors are really precious about those numbers on the back of the cards. But as a person who does not keep the cards, I couldn't care less. And if you build a droid with Skeleton Crew, that's the way to get the 4 main characters and SM-33, right? You build a droid SM-33 within the packaging of the 4 main characters. That's a good way to ensure that not, one character doesn't sell way better than the others. I don't know, Neil ends up peg warming or something like that. Collectors would buy all 4 because they would want the droid, and then they buy another 4 because they want their cards on the wall with all of the numbers. And then you could do the exact same thing with the Bad Batch. With the Bad Batch, it gets a little stickier though, taking a page from Marvel Legends book, where they tend to build a figure, bigger characters. You make Wrecker the Build-A-Fig, and then kind of the same logic applies, right? People are going to buy the whole set because they're going to want that massive clone with the goofy grin on his face, and let's face it, I'd buy it too. So my point is, there's strategies for how to do this. I don't have an enormous amount of confidence that Hasbro's going to do any of it, unfortunately, because they just have kind of demonstrated to the collecting community that this is not what that line is for. So my only other question is, what about that Epic Heroes line? The 4-inch figures that are much, much lower res and are for actual children. Arguably Bad Batch, cartoon, Skeleton Crew, features 4 lead kids. Maybe kids actually want these action figures, Hasbro, and if you did them in that line, they'd probably sell pretty well. I believe Brutus is coming from the Epic Heroes collection, but that's the only announcement so far. It seems like kind of a gimme that you could, if you're not willing to put them in the Vintage Collection, and God knows I've lost the plot on what the Vintage Collection is even for, other than that it is 4-inch figures. But if you're not willing to put them in there, you could think about putting them in Epic Heroes. I would certainly buy them. I just want these characters for my display. I love these characters so much. I love their looks. I love their accessories. I want them in my display. I want them in my display in the right scale so that they don't tower over their counterparts. It's terrifying. What is this? Anyway, please do spring into the comments and let me know what you think Hasbro is going to do to rectify these massive gaps in the line. As always, I'm not interested in why you think Disney era Star Wars is bad. That's not what the conversation's about. The conversation's about where is the opportunity for Hasbro to satisfy collectors by giving us the Bad Batch and giving us the Skeleton Crew. Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Hopefully back soon with some unboxing. It's been a cold winter here in Toronto, but maybe soon. Maybe something new will show up soon. We'll see.